And now the news in detail. Pope Leo XIV unveils motto and logo for France visit. Government pledges strict enforcement of mining laws. Agriculture experts call for food security reforms as 2.6 million projected to face hunger. In our exclusive report this week, Fales Chizombe looks at how technology is changing the face of human trafficking and why authorities are calling for increased public vigilance. In news from the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV has unveiled the official motto and logo for his apostolic visit to France, choosing the theme "So that the world may have life," drawn from the Gospel of St. John and the Bread of Life discourse, highlighting the Christian message of life, hope and reconciliation. The Holy Father will make the apostolic visit from September 25th to the 28th, beginning in Paris, where he will lead a prayer vigil at the Stade de France before celebrating Mass at Presse de la Concorde, where he will also visit the Shrine of Our Lady of Lourdes before concluding the visit in Metz with Mass at Saint Etienne Cathedral. We have a Rome report read by Charity Chilanga.
The official logo reflects the central theme of the visit through the colors of the French flag, complemented by orange to represent light and green as a symbol of hope. It also features a dove carrying an olive branch, recalling the bird that returned to Noah's Ark as a sign of new life and peace. The visual design combines the Gothic rose windows found in France's medieval cathedrals with elements of the Art Deco style, bringing together the country's rich Christian heritage with the contemporary artistic expression. The visit to Metz is expected to carry particular symbolic significance. Situated at the heart of Europe, the city was once a source of conflict between France and Germany, but today stands as a symbol of reconciliation, peace, and European unity. The emphasis on the theme of life extends beyond its Eucharistic meaning. It also comes as France continues to debate end-of-life issues, following the National Assembly's approval of legislation on June 30th to regularize euthanasia administered by a doctor and physician-assisted suicide. According to diplomatic sources cited by OSV News, Pope Leo may also visit the Jean Gagnon Medical Center in Paris, the largest and most renowned palliative care institution in France and Europe, underscoring the Church's commitment to dignity of human life and compassionate care for the seriously ill.
In news from the local church, Catholic youths across the country have been urged to attend the National Catholic Youth Conference scheduled for August 26 to the 30th, 2026 at Bembeke in the Diocese of Dedza as the Catholic Church commemorates 125 years of evangelization in Malawi. In an interview with Luntha Television, National Organizing Secretary Blessings Kachepa said the organizing committee is working tirelessly to ensure the conference is a success. Emmanuel Chiwocha filed this report.
In his remarks, Kachepa urged the youth from all dioceses to take part in the conference, saying it will provide an opportunity for young Catholics to reflect on the contribution and the impact the youth ministry in the Catholic Church over the past 125 years. He said the conference will also focus on deepening the Catholic faith while providing an opportunity for social and cultural activities, including traditional dances.
The Commission is celebrating 125 years of evangelization in Malawi, which is pointing out to orient the youth on how best we can join together as the Synod Church and how the youth can take part in the evangelization. And also it's a point of reflection that as we are celebrating 125 years of evangelization here in Malawi, what has been our role as the youth and what are we supposed to do as the youth? So the youth must expect a lot of things, also even issues to do with the interaction with their fellow youth, entertainment. We are even planning to have some cultural performances, even talent showcases. So
the organizing committee expects about 400 delegates to attend the conference, which will be held under the theme, Rooted in Christ, Faith Formation, celebrating 125 years of evangelization. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Georgia.
Minister of Mining Toko Tembo has assured Parliament that government will strictly enforce mining laws and regulate operations across the country. Speaking in the House today, Tembo said no investor in the sector is above the law and reiterated government's commitment to ensuring all mining operations comply with the legal and regulatory framework. He was responding to a report by the Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources, Energy and Climate Change following an oversight visit to the Kangankunde Rare Earths project in Balaka. Tandiwe Mzumara has filed this report.
In its findings, the committee flagged missing documentation and highlighted unresolved issues surrounding mineral exports and the project's licensing status, among other things. In response, Tembo admitted to governance challenges of the sector and assured the House that authorities are taking concrete steps to address the committee's concerns.
The executive side of government, we always welcome checks and balances. That is what Parliament is for. And if the Speaker sees it fit that parliamentarians should go out and look into the mining sector, then that is something that we welcome as well, and will be more than happy to cooperate.
Contributing to the debate, Lilongwe Nyanja Member of Parliament Steve Baba Malondera urged government to halt operations at the site until all queries raised in the report are resolved, further calling for a nationwide audit of mining licenses to restore order and ensure the country derives maximum benefits from its mineral wealth. In response, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs Charles Mahango said government will address challenges in the mining sector by following Malawi's laws while protecting national interests and legitimate investments.
We must protect the interest of all Malawians so they can benefit from the mining sector. But at the same time, as we are protecting the interests of Malawians, we should also protect the interests and the rights of investors.
Meanwhile, Leader of the House, Jabi Mahango, has said that the government is committed to easing the country's economic challenges and improving the lives of Malawians. He made the remarks responding to opposition leader Simplex Chichola Banda's Sine-Die remarks, who said while Malawi has been affected by global crisis, including the Middle East conflict, government must still be held accountable for its handling of key issues. Parliament has since adjourned Sine-Die after concluded what government has described as one of the most productive sittings since the current cohort of lawmakers was elected. For Luntha News, this is Tandiwe Mzumara.
Agriculture experts are calling for urgent reforms in Malawi's food security programs as the country projects about 2.6 million people who face hunger during the 2026-2027 lean season. The experts say the focus should shift towards boosting production, improving access to farm inputs, and implementing effective strategies to end hunger. The two experts were reacting to a press release by the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, which indicates that about 2.6 million people, representing 14% of the projected national population, will not be able to meet their annual food requirements between October 2026 and March 2027. Here is Gift Kalonga with more.
The Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization says about 2.6 million people, representing 14% of the projected national population, will require food assistance between October 2026 and March 2027 after failing to meet their annual food needs. Finance Minister Joseph Mwanamveka disclosed the figures following the release of the Malawi Vulnerability Assessment Committee MVAC report on 5 August 2026. The report shows that 2,531,266 people in rural areas are affected, representing a 36% decrease, while those needing assistance in urban areas such as Lilongwe, Blantyre, Zomba, and Mzuzu have increased by 27% to 81,405 people. The report indicates that 97,887 metric tons of food worth 124.3 billion kwacha will be needed to support affected households for 3 to 4 months during the rain season. It adds that the number of people facing food insecurity has declined over 14 million people in 2025, mainly due to increased crop production recorded this year. Commenting on this, agriculture expert Felix Jumbe says the projected number of people facing hunger reflects challenges in accessing farm inputs, especially fertilizer, which affected productivity. He has called for a review of food security programs, urging Malawi to focus on increasing production and adopting effective strategies to completely eradicate hunger.
The prices of fertilizer that which they were not able to access, and those could have had an impact, positive impact on the productivity and the production of the country. It could have reduced the number of people vulnerable from the 4 million to even 0 if we had effective program.
Another agriculture expert, Tamani Nkonomvura, says the projected hunger figures reflect the situation on the ground, with drought, particularly in the southern and eastern regions, contributing to reduced yields. He called for urgent action from institutions responsible for relief and farmer support to provide food assistance and farm inputs to affected households as quickly as possible.
With these figures, it's time now for those institutions that are involved in issues of relief, but also supporting farmers with inputs to make sure that the support has gone to the farmers as quickly as possible, so that we avert a situation where all these households will be facing food challenges.
Meanwhile, the government says it is implementing measures to support vulnerable households and has appealed to other stakeholders to join efforts in addressing the food insecurity situation. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Gift Kalonga.
You're watching news live on Luntha TV News. Join us after this short break.
Banja la Zimba lochokera m'mudzi mwa Mduwa mdera la mfumu yayikulu Mduwa m'boma la Mchinji pamodzi ndi banja la Nkhoma ochokera ku Nasawa m'boma la Zomba akukuyitanani kudzakhala nawo pa mwambo waukati wa anawo Lonzo ndi Misozi. Mwambowu udzachitika loweruka pa 29 August 2026. Zonse zidzayamba ndi mwambo odalitsa ukwatiwu ku Madzimayela CCP kuyambira nthawi ya 8 koloko mmawa. Pambuyo pake phwando lidzapitirira pa Mchinji Community Ground kuyambira nthawi ya 1 koloko masana. Mitundu ya zovala pa tsikuli ndi navy blue, slate, gold, beige komanso ivory. Kubwera kwanu kudzawonjezera chisangalalo pa tsikuli pamene Lonzo ndi Misozi akukuyembekezerani pa 29 August ku Madzimayela CCP komanso pa Mchinji Community Ground m'boma la Mchinji. Tikaonana komweko.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, you are locked on to Luntha TV, live from the Bishop Nevi Media Center. Before we proceed, here's a recap of the top stories. Pope Leo XIV unveils motto and logo for France visit. Government pledges strict enforcement of mining laws. Agriculture experts call for food security reforms as 2.6 million projected to face hunger. In our exclusive report this week, Phyllis Chizombe looks at how technology is changing the face of human trafficking and why authorities are calling for increased public vigilance. Moving on, experts have attributed Malawi's continued high cost of living to rising transport and production costs, despite improved food availability following favorable weather conditions during the 2025-2026 farming season. The experts say while increased food production has helped stabilize prices of some commodities, high fuel and other business costs continue to push up the prices of goods and services, placing additional pressure on household incomes. Judith Organ has filed this report.
Agricultural expert Leonard Chimaza says improved food production and supply have contributed to relatively stable prices for some food commodities compared to the previous year. Chimaza, however, says the benefit of increased production is being undermined by high transportation costs, with rising fuel prices affecting production, distribution, and the final prices paid by consumers.
Slight stagnation in the prices for most of the food commodities, so that this country can enjoy this trend for quite a long time. Beside the good weather pattern that we witnessed in the past year, we should also be mindful of the export restriction and the export restriction or ban which the government imposed,
making their own organic.
This cost will eventually be passed on to consumers through higher commodity prices.
So if there is that huge expenditure on disposable income, you see that people do not have enough money to manage. But at the same time, it's because it can affect the savings that individuals want to save and maybe investments in other areas, more especially households.
The experts' observations come amid a recent cost of living analysis showing significant increases in the cost of basic needs, with non-food costs rising sharply between January and June 2026. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Judith Organ.
Still in business news, economic expert Felix Lombe has said keeping the police rate at 24.0% may not be enough to bring inflation down further, citing electricity tariffs and imported inflation as factors limiting the impact of monetary policy. His comments come after the Reserve Bank of Malawi's Monetary Policy Committee maintained the policy rate at 24.0% during its meeting held on 5th and 6th August 2026, saying the stance will support continued disinflation while inflation remains above 5.0% medium-term target. Clara Kamzati has filed this report. We will give you a report in our subsequent bulletins. And moving on, a simple message on Facebook, WhatsApp, or any social media platform promising a well-paying job abroad could be the beginning of a dangerous journey into exploitation, as human traffickers increasingly turn to technology to deceive and recruit victims. Malawi is intensifying efforts to fight what authorities describe as a modern form of slavery. On this year's World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, government says strengthening cyber investigations, public awareness, and intelligence sharing will be key in dismantling trafficking networks operating online. In our exclusive report this week, Falas Chizomba looks at how technology is changing the face of human trafficking and why authorities are calling for increased public vigilance.
For many Malawians searching for better opportunities, a job offer abroad can appear to be a life-changing opportunity. But behind some of these promises are criminal networks using fake accounts, fraudulent recruitment agencies, and online scams to trap unsuspecting victims into forced labor, exploitation, and abuse. Minister of Homeland Security, Peter Mkito, says government is strengthening cyber investigations and digital awareness as traffickers continue exploiting technology to target vulnerable people. Speaking during commemorations marking the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, Mokito warned that criminals are using mobile phones, social media platforms, and fake investment or employment opportunities to manipulate people's trust.
Human trafficking is very, very secretive, and it's quite very difficult again to at least to identify and come up with the figures. I believe it is quite high, and I think I must also add that we are receiving reports from the Interpol that most of these human trafficking kingpins are operating here in Malawi. And that's why also you heard from the speakers that we are used as a transit of the person trafficked either to go down to the south or either go to the Arabic countries.
Mokito has urged Malawians to verify opportunities before traveling, avoid sharing personal documents with strangers online, and report suspicious activities. He says the fight against trafficking requires the involvement of communities, including parents, young people, traditional leaders, religious leaders, recruitment agencies, transport operators, hotel owners, and landlords.
The police cannot handle it alone. And that's why we are requesting many of the parents, because most of these children that are going or that are being victims of this human trafficking are coming from their families. And also we are asking also the churches and the mosques and everybody to let us all join hands in fighting this human trafficking.
Minister of Gender, Children, Disability and Social Welfare, Melina Vicha, has warned parents and guardians to closely monitor children's online activities. Navicha says some social media groups and online interactions are being used by traffickers to lure children into dangerous situations.
Protecting children starts from the home. When parents take responsibility to protect their children, it's easy for other partners also to join. But if we are failing our children at home, it's very difficult to trace them. It's very difficult to rescue them. So it starts with parents. So I've talked to the parents here to take responsibility in protecting their children, make sure that they are monitoring their children day in, day out. They are also be able to know where their children are going. They will be able to know where their children are interacting with. They are interacting with strangers, but some parents are just watching. So time has come for parents and guardians to open their eyes to see where their children are going to, where children are interacting with, where children are using, how they are using the social media, because some of these issues are coming from the social media.
The International Organization for Migration, IOM, says young people remain among the most vulnerable groups as new forms of trafficking continue emerging. IOM officer in charge, Alina Zelensk, says cyber trafficking, forced criminality and organ trafficking are among growing threats, with economic challenges and climate-related vulnerabilities increasing people's exposure to exploitation.
Technology that is really having new ways to bring hope to people that is false. Wrong job offers are reaching people that are putting their hope for brighter futures in these mechanisms. So what we need to do is also using those new technologies, these new ways to reach people, to educate them, to share the messages, to be having everyone in Malawi being able to verify all kinds of job offers that lure them into these very exploitative and dangerous situations.
Malawi Network Against Human Trafficking National Coordinator Caleb Toley says the country must strengthen its legal response to address the changing nature of trafficking. Tole has called for a review of the cybercrime law, arguing that many people are now being exposed to trafficking through online platforms.
We need to review our cybercrime law that will link to trafficking in persons, because we know a lot of people are being recruited through Facebook, WhatsApp, and other new technologies like AI and others that are available, TikTok and others. So we think that the Malawi government, number one, would work with the Malawi Police Service, Immigration, to train them, to equip them with skills of technology, because this is the area where we are lagging behind, because most of them, they are aware of how traffickers really recruit people. So if they have that capacity to detect, rescue, and interdict those that are found recruiting people online.
Police records show that human trafficking remains a serious concern in Malawi. Deputy Inspector General of Police, Richard Luhanga, says police have registered 16 trafficking cases from January this year to date, with 13 cases reported in the northern region and others recorded in different districts. Luhanga says some traffickers, including Malawians operating locally and internationally, are creating fake Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp accounts to deceive people with promises of lucrative jobs overseas. He says police continue intercepting victims from countries including Ethiopia, Somalia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Rwanda, who are trafficked through Malawi, with some Malawians allegedly linked to these networks. Human trafficking is not a new challenge in Malawi. In 2022, authorities rescued about 90 suspected trafficking victims from Nzalika refugee camp in an operation supported by international partners, leading to the arrest of several suspects. The case exposed how vulnerable communities, including refugees, can become targets of trafficking syndicates. Other cases have involved Malawian women recruited with promises of domestic work in countries such as Oman, only to face exploitation, confiscation of passports, and forced labor. Investigations have also uncovered cases involving young girls allegedly recruited for forced marriages and sexual exploitation abroad. As traffickers move from streets to borders into digital spaces, authorities say the fight against human trafficking must also adapt. The message from government and partners is clear. Every online opportunity must be questioned, every recruiter must be verified, and every suspected case must be reported.
This week's edition of the special report by Falis Chizombe brings us to the end of this bulletin. But before I sign out, here's a recap of the top stories. Pope Leo XIV unveils motto and logo for France visit. Government pledges strict enforcement of mining laws. Agriculture experts call for food security reforms as 2.6 million projected to face hunger. In our exclusive report this week, Falis Chizombe looks at how technology is changing the face of human trafficking and why authorities are calling for increased public vigilance. As we come to the end of the 18th week in ordinary time, let us all remember to carry our crosses and follow our Lord Jesus Christ. We have come to the end of this bulletin. Here at Luntha Television, we thank you for always choosing us. Remember to be your brother's keeper. I'm Kathy Matura. Goodbye for now.